Let's go to the Rude Guest Hotline as we are on the eve of the NBA Finals, which finally, after a lengthy wait, get going with Game 1 between the Pacers and the Thunder tomorrow. Rude Guest Hotline, Rude, the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV, is where we find former NBA star, 7-time champion, big shot Bob Robert Horry is with us on Grant and Danny here on The Fan in Washington, D.C. Robert's appearance made possible via BetOnline. Check out BetOnline for updated NBA Finals series and MVP odds, along with game-by-game lines and props. Robert, you hit so many huge shots in the playoffs. We're so successful. Conference Finals, NBA Finals. When we get to this time of the year, does your body just start tingling and your ears start burning because people are talking about you all over the place?
It's weird. There's just a certain feeling that comes over you. It's a feeling of excitement. It's like being rejuvenated. Being put in the ladders and coming back and just having fun because it's all about win or go home. I love the NBA playoffs.
For a lot of people, they get to win the elusive ring, or maybe they're super lucky and they win a couple. You've got 7 of those things. Do you keep them all in the same mantle, locked away in the same safe? Do you ever wear them all on 2 of the fingers on the other hand? Like, when's the last time you wore all 7 at once?
I've never worn all 7, and I'm too scared to wear them because, they're like my babies. You keep them close to you and you keep them precious. And so for me, they're our safe deposit box. And so I just, every now and then I'm going somewhere, I'll wear 1, maybe 2 at the most.
7-time NBA champion Robert Horry with us on Grant and Danny here on The Fan. Before we get into the finals and the postseason, we were joking at the start of the conversation. Jimmy, who connected us, said he was poking at my Wizards, and I was laughing that they were the 1978 world champions. He then asked me if I was born then. But I will say, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I think they're finally doing this the right way. They've got a front office they put together that's really good. Will Dawkins came over from Oklahoma City, helped build the Thunder team that's vying for a championship. On purpose, by design, they are currently terrible. And they had some bad luck in the lottery. They're going to pick 6th. But I like where they're headed here. Finally, we got a shot at something relevant down the road. What do you think?
Hey, are you just talking about you weren't born in '70? Are you still going to be around when they become good?
Well, I don't have a very good diet and I don't exercise, so it's very possible that the answer is no.
The crazy part about the Wizards, man, you go back to when you had Beal, and you should have kept him because he was a cornerstone of that team. I know you got rid of him, got some picks and stuff, but as you can take, your first pick in the draft was Alex Starr, and he had a good year. But he's no game changer. And you got to be lucky enough to get the number 1 pick, but you didn't get. You got Cooper Flagg is a game changer. You got to hope that you get a game changer, or you package some guys up and get rid of them because right now you got a bunch of 2nd-tier players. You got 2 aging superstars and Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart that aren't going to bring much to the team. So you kind of stuck. You kind of stuck, and there's no way of getting that out unless you actually come up lucky and get something in the draft. And it's just. You just kind of stuck, like I said.
Yeah, it's neutral. But they were stuck before. At least now there's some. Maybe we could convince ourselves that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Go back to when you were playing. So I'm thinking, Lakers around when you're winning titles, the turn of the millennium, or after that with the Spurs. I know it was the other conference, but what was the thought about the Wizards or the organization when you would play them? I mean, are they one of those orgs that people kind of roll their eyes about, or was there a respect for how they did things?
Well, when I first played against, they were called the Bullets, and so you think about the team they had then. I think we had Rasheed Wallace, Chris Webber, and they had a good
Juwan
team. But all of
Howard.
a sudden, Juwan Howard. Next thing you know, let's get rid of all these guys. It's like, I don't know. It's because nobody wanted to play there. You think about how good John Wall was there. You think about all the other guys that were there that play arenas. It's like you always had good guard play, but you never had a big outside of those 3 we just talked about that kind of hung around and stayed there. And that's the problem. People look at bigs and say, "Oh, we don't need no bigs. It's a small man game." You need somebody in there to erase your mistakes. When you got a team full of guards, they get blown by. They don't want to play no defense. They just want to go down and shoot. And Jordan Poole shows that. You need somebody to erase their mistakes. And if you look at the way this team is constructed right now, you just look like, okay, a bunch of guards. It reminds me of when The Knicks thought it'd be cool to have 4 starting point guards. It ain't gonna work, dude. They might be dynamic, but only one guy controls the basketball. And I think the Wizards, they're in a quandary right now. They need to figure out some pieces to get rid of and add some pieces and hope that they get a diamond in the rough in the draft.
All right, one more on the Wizards because we're over talking about them at a time where good teams are trying to win a championship. Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob, is with us here on Grant and Danny on 106.7 The Fan. But I just wanted to tap into your expertise on this. I get that now, in the middle of a tank rebuild, whatever we're calling it, you're not in recruiting mode. But when they were on the precipice with Wall, with Beal, or before that, with Arenas, with Jameson, they couldn't ever convince the big boy to come. Like, they couldn't get the superstar. And here, we don't really understand why. I mean, it's Washington, D.C. The division was never insurmountable. What do you make of that?
You know, I don't know much about the Wizards organization, but it goes to, you know, how is the practice facility? How is the living account? How is the weather? There's so many things that come into play. You know, you talk about the big stars that are out there during the time. What can I convince you? You know, you think about, would you rather live in D.C. or L.A.? Okay, would you rather live in, you know, Texas or D.C.? You know, it makes a big difference on where you go. And I think for me, it's so much crap that happens in the Washington, D.C. area that people don't want to be involved in, be around. So it's kind of hard to get people to come there. No, and I love when we used to go play in Washington. I have some great friends that live there. They used to take me out of town, go to great restaurants. And so it was wonderful there, but I don't know why. I feel like it's like Atlanta. You know, it's so many guys, basketball players, live in Atlanta in the off season, but they don't want to play there. We don't know why these teams have this mystique about them, but it just doesn't happen. You can't put your finger on it.
7-time champ Robert Horry made available today from BetOnline. Check out BetOnline, updated NBA Finals series and MVP odds, along with game-by-game lines and props. You know, one of the lines that you could look at for the finals, which start on Thursday, tomorrow night, Pacers are plus 490 and the Thunder are minus 670. So what that means is that the current odds give the Thunder an 87% likelihood of winning the finals. And Robert, I get that. I think they could sweep them.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to be a 5-game series. But are we sure the Pacers shouldn't be given more than a 13% chance here? Nobody thought they were going to beat Cleveland, as an example. Nobody thought they'd be in the finals. I mean, should we give them a little bit more respect than we are, or is this about right?
You better put some respect on their name because they're way better than people giving them credit for. I think the fact that it's so low is because when you say superstar, they don't have one. You know, they need to think about Halliburton, most overrated player in the league. He's showing you that he isn't. And for me, I look at this team. It's just a really grimy team. They got guys that can play good defense. You got guys that can step up each and every night, and you got a guy like Halliburton that can get everybody involved and get them shots. So, you know, I think his game is going to go 7, and I still got Thunder winning it just because of that home court advantage. But if the Pacers win it, I wouldn't be shocked. And I'm kind of rooting for the Pacers just for the fact that I love underdogs, and everybody's talking about OKC Thunder.
Why are the Thunder so good? They're on a pace to be one of the top 3 win percentage teams ever.
Because they share the basketball. You know, if you watch the Thunder play, 8 times out of 10 coming down the floor, you know Shai Gilgeous is going to shoot the ball. When you got the ball coming down the Thunder, you don't know who Halliburton's going to get the ball. Is Siakam going to post up? Is Nesmith going to knock down a 3? Is, you know, anybody else going to step up? And I think when you look at this team, how it's constructed, you know, the Pacers, like, they got a really good defensive team. You think about Nesmith, you think about Turner, you think about Toppin, you think about all the other guys, you know, Nembhard. I can go on and on. So they got a defensive presence that's not talked about, and they got guys that can do exactly what they're supposed to do. And not to mention, they have a really good coach in Carlisle who's won a championship. And the better thing on his pedigree and on his resume is that he played in the NBA. So guys have a tendency to listen to them a little bit more instead of tuning them out. So I don't discredit the Pacers. They got a great chance of winning this thing.
Let's talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City. I mean, this just tells you everything you need to know. He's minus 550 to win Finals MVP. Like, basically, what odds makers are saying is the Thunder are going to win, and there's no one else on the team that could possibly win MVP. He's the MVP of the league this year. How good is this kid?
He's really good. The thing that we always look at talent, I look at his IQ. He knows how to manufacture shots, and he knows how to get to the free throw line. When you're able to do that, and not just depend on I'm gonna work on the cone drill, dribble, pull up for a three. He gets buckets, and you gotta respect that. He knows how to escape guys. He can push you off. He can pump fake you. He can do so many things to get his shot out. So he's fantastic at scoring. So, but the key is you can't let him do that. The only game that he really looked bad in was game 3 of playing in the Western Conference Finals when Minnesota didn't let him get points. He had 18 points, I think, and they lost the game by like 60 or whatever it was. So you're going to have to say, okay, you're going to have to let someone else beat you. And I think that's one thing Carlisle he's going to do. Look at how he played Brunson. He says, no, I'm a big body. I'm going to put 5 different defenders on you, short, tall, and mix it up. And I'm not saying that Brunson is the same caliber player as SJ, but he's damn near close. So I think it's going to be a difficult task for OKC to win it.
I wonder with SGA how much more is in the tank. The last 3 years in the MVP vote, he's finished 5th, 2nd, and now 1. And his points per game have been like 30, 31, and now 33, like 32.7. He's only 26. So we're talking about now entering the prime of his career. Do you think there's more juice here, or is this about the apex?
I think it's more. There's still more juice there. I think it's going to me, in order to go back-to-back MVPs, he's going to have to bring a little more to his game. Now he's going to say, okay, next year I'm going to up my assists. I'm going to not go to the free throw line more and say, oh, I'm not free throw dependent on my scoring average being 32. You think about it, he averages 10 free throws a game, so that's 10 points. So he's really a 22-point shooter without the free throw. So think about that. He can get 30 points and only shoot like 5 free throws a game, which is not going to happen. I'm just saying they're going to show how efficient he is and what he can do without the ref. So I think that's going to be a big key on how he is able to stay on top of the mountain and being MVP and considered as one of the greats in the OKC uniform.
The voice of a 7-time champ, Robert Horry. That's an outstanding point about him getting to the line. A league high each of the last 2 years in free throws made per game, 7.6 and 7.9. What's your take on the discourse on him being a foul merchant, Jalen Brunson, the way he played? Bill Simmons weighed in. It felt like it became a national story that those guys were hunting fouls and it was bad basketball and there were too many whistles. You played in a different era, so to speak, but what do you take out of that?
It's so weird that I'm a strong believer in letting the guys play basketball, play defense, and the way the league is constructed now, they take a lot from the defense. And you think about, I watch sometimes when Shea literally pushes off and he gets the foul call, and you look around like he pushed me, and it's just so weird. I wish the league would go back to the point where you take away the step back, because step back is technically a travel. You take away the continuing the dribble because that's going to carry. There's so many things that allow these offensive players to be great. Go back to the day where you had 2 steps to make a layup, not 3. Go back to where your step back had to be one big step, and it had to be a jump start with both feet hitting the ground, and then you can do a step through that to make it more efficient for you. It's so many things that the offense is allowed to do that takes away from the defense, and it's not fair, because if true basketball people love when defense is played, because what's better than taking a guy who's averaging 30 and locking him down? That's fun. And because you give credit to the defensive player that he's taken upon himself to take on a tall task and shut the guy down. So it's up to Dave. It's not about to say Dave. I'm sorry, I show you my age. It's up to Adam to implement all these rules back in there and give the defense a chance.
Well, you mentioned kind of the juxtaposition of your era to this one, and I'd be remiss if I didn't then talk about the style of play. It has been a big turnoff for me. I didn't mind the spacing in the three-pointers initially, but it's gotten to the point where there was a shot chart in one of these playoff games, I think it was the Celtics, who made a layup and then took all threes otherwise for an entire quarter of basketball. And it just feels like we've gone too far. And there's clearly a disconnect between what the fans want and what the sport looks like, because you kind of see it in the complaints and some of the, the overall trends and numbers.
Yeah. I don't even blame the players, because the players, they're coached and they're allowed to do what the coach tells them. Of course, if the coach doesn't say, we're going to go inside, they're going to take the easy way out. Because I tell these people all the time, it's easy to get off a 3. It's hard work to get to the basket and get a 2. And that's why Shea Gilgeous is so good at it. That's why Brunson's it's hard work. But you look at guys like Tatum. He got the ability to do that. He gonna shoot a three. Take Ant-Man for instance. Ant-Man was one of the best guys to get into the hole, and all of a sudden now he leads the league in threes. I'm like, dude, why are you changing your game? You were so much effective at doing this, and it's easy. And sometimes I think guys want the easy way out instead of working so hard. You think about how LeBron and he gets the hole. You think about how Kobe played the game. You think about how Clyde played the game. You think about all these guys that were, getting buckets to all these. I know people are going to say, oh, that's the old school way of thinking. No, it's about getting buckets. It's about being efficient. People talk about, shooting. Most guys who are great shooters, they might shoot, 35% from three. You're going to probably shoot 60% from two. It's still the same. It's a little bit better to me, but the percentages, but that's the way we look at it. Guys want to take the easy way out by shooting threes.
Robert Horry on Grant and Danny here on The Fan. I'll let you out on this one. The Knicks go further than anybody thought they would. They get to the conference final. They get to a game 6. They get eliminated. And then yesterday, Tom Thibodeau gets fired. What'd you think?
Yeah. It's a coaching span right now is 4 years, and you're lucky if you get 4. And I think, they always think of a change. And sometimes you have to change it up, and you think it's going to be better. But you tell me what's out there. What's a better coach out there? And it's going to be hard to replace him. The only thing that I'm probably going to like about whoever the new coach is that the fact that he's not going to play those guys a lot of minutes, because he probably cut the lifespan about 2 or 3 years off a couple of those players. And then also you're going to not let, if I'm the new coach of the Knicks, I'm not letting Brunson, dominate the ball as much as he does. You got guys that can score and have the advantage like Bridges, like Towns, put them in position to be scored, not you just try to, carry the team like an Allen Iverson, like a Luka. And we see how many championships those two guys have.
Robert Horry, they call him Big Shot Bob, one of the great nicknames ever. I do have to say, I'll forgive you because that was a great hit and you're an awesome dude, it seems like. But as a Wizards fan, you can relate to probably this. Because they never made the playoffs or were any good, I would have to pick teams in the playoffs to root for. And those Chris Webber, Bobby Jackson, Sacramento Kings teams were my squad. And you killed any chance that I had of seeing them get it to a championship. And I didn't forgive you for a long time, but today was therapeutic.
Well, we need to sit down and have a session there. We talk more about basketball. But here's the funny thing about those games against Sacramento. They didn't have a chance in the first place.
Those series were the best, by the way.
Yeah, it was back and forth. You love 7-game series when teams are evenly matched. You think about how good those Sacramento Kings teams were. Doug Christie, Bibby, and Glady. They were good. It just went better than Shaq and Kobe and the rest of us.
Page. Oh, God, that was good basketball. That's the good stuff.
Hey,
I sound like an old guy. Like
this.
These kids watching their Halliburton SGA final, they don't know what it was like.
Yeah, but you go back to Game 7 against Sacramento, and people forget. Page decided not to play because he had a torn ankle. And to me, it's Game 7. You go to the final, you win the final, and you can't play. That goes to show you the toughness of people. Some people got, you got to tough it out.
Robert, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you.
All right, guys, have fun, man.
Robert Horry, courtesy of BetOnline. BetOnline updated NBA Finals series and MVP odds along with game-by-game lines and props.